Hello, howdy, sup, alright mate, aloha, g'day! This is Travel Tuesdays for foodie fans. Bryce Morrison is your host and I'm Carla, your colorful commentator. However you greet your friends, we're excited you're here for the journey as we take you across these United States and around the world to find the very best in food and wine. Join us every Tuesday as we interview foodie travelers, award-winning bartenders, restaurateurs, and more to find out their go-to bars and restaurants and how to find them. Enjoy the show!
Hey foodie fans, we're live once again. This is definitely the most excited I have been for our Travel Tuesdays. We have a real owner of an amazing Texas brisket, a restaurant. He'll be able to tell you more about his location, but I've been following them for a very long time since their opening. And I'm telling you, I think I do okay. But his pictures, his photos, I can't do them justice. You guys have got to check out his page, check out what he's doing, and, hopefully get out there to Pasadena, Texas, and check out what they're doing down there. But without further ado, I'm going to bring on Joe.
Hey, Bryce.
Joe. I am here with Carla and a live audience, and we're excited to have you. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks a lot for having me on. This is pretty cool, pretty exciting.
So tell us a little bit about your restaurant.
We're Primo's Taco House, and like you mentioned, we're on social media. That social media has been really helpful for us. It's a lot of fun, get kind of creative and putting things out there. We're Primo's Taco House again. We're in Pasadena. We're on Instagram, Primo's Taco House, Facebook, Primo's Taco House as well.
All right. So how did you end up here? We served on the USS San Jacinto together when we were in the Navy. How did you end up with a barbecue place?
Man, I tell you, being in the Navy, the food actually wasn't bad. We got to travel around a bit and went to a lot of cool places. And it's funny because I was thinking about this earlier. On our budget, I think overseas, the first place I looked for was a McDonald's, over the course we did. I think of some places in South America I went to, some places in Europe, seafood in Valparaiso, Chile. I don't know if you went on that deployment to South America. I'm not sure if you're on that one or not.
I didn't make it to South America, no.
But just incredible seafood down there. And, my family growing up here in Houston, I'm from Houston, which is Pasadena is just a suburb, basically. There's my family, my mom can cook, my sisters can cook Mexican food, every day. I took it for granted as a kid, homemade tortillas, tamales. I actually, at one point in my life, I don't think I liked them very much. But as you get older, you gain an appreciation for it. I got into barbecuing, smoking meat. That's real big down here 4 or 5 years ago. Finally got my hands on a really good smoker that I could use at home. Started kind of, working on getting better at it. A lot of YouTube videos, a lot of lessons that I've gained from YouTube. Venture to say I got pretty good at it, and a couple buddies of mine were looking to open up a restaurant. We started talking, and this 4th of July will be our 1-year anniversary. So we do breakfast tacos. We do really good burgers. There's a Mexican style hot dog. It's basically a bacon wrapped hot dog that's fried. There's a cream you put on it, some pico de gallo, some of our hot sauce. That's really good. And then barbecue, to me, it's like tacos, craft beer, and barbecue. You can't go wrong,
Oh, so now you got to add in craft beer to it. Man, you're talking my language.
Oh man, I got a beer here at 1836 from a local brewery, Buffalo Bayou Brewing. I'd like to brew. It's funny because we were looking over some of the kind of the prep, the questions you provided. I was thinking about it. Really good questions. One of the things was about what would you do if you had an extra budget, and it's like, man, we've always talked about trying to get like a brewing operation. There's a property next door that we're looking at, maybe someday acquiring it, hopefully. I got a lot of friends that like to brew beer. One in particular, he'll brew some beer, send us some crowlers here, and we might dabble into a sip here and there. But yeah, the craft beer is all over the country, is blowing up. A lot of good beers out there, and maybe one day we'll mix that in. Right now, we work with local distributors, so we try to get a mix of. You got to have your Miller Lights and your Bud Lights, but we like to get the local craft breweries represented here as well.
That's awesome. Well, I'm not drinking any craft beer tonight, but I am actually getting ready to open up the champagne of beers.
Hey, there you go. I think we got some in the fridge.
So, funny story about that. We were down in Cozumel, and we were wandering around, and we ended up in more of a residential area. And this guy came running across the street, and we're like, what's going on? And he's like, no, look. And he shows us this huge menu. And he's like, you got to come over. And we're in a residential area. I'm like, okay. So we go over there, and sure enough, we go through the door on the outside. It's like an outer concrete wall, but it's into a courtyard kind of thing.
Okay.
And in the courtyard is several pool tables and, the white quartz rocks and everything. And it's just a really nice place. And then we go in even further and sit down underneath the umbrellas, and he starts feeding us. And they had just opened up.
Yeah.
And so I asked him what the name of the restaurant was, because I was going to check in on social media. And he tells me the name, and I'm like, okay, what does that mean? And he's like, it means female liar.
Mentirosa?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, what? And he's like, well, we do drag shows at night. And I'm like, okay. But the coolest thing about it, though, was when he found out that I was checking in online, he brought a champagne bucket filled with ice and a huge 40 of Modelo and 4 champagne glasses for us to share. And that was his thank you for helping his business. Unfortunately, we didn't make it. We went down there again very recently, and they're closed down. But I thought that was the coolest experience ever. You never know what you're going to run into when you wander around.
I tell you, being in the Navy, we probably tell a lot of those stories.
Yeah.
Going somewhere and getting a beer, some of the local beers overseas. I've got a photo album from those deployments, and I used to keep beer labels. So I'd peel off the label real carefully, and I got a pretty nice collection of Brazil, Sweden, Norway, just a few random beer labels I collected over the years.
That's the one thing I regret from my Navy experience, is that I didn't cherish all of those places nearly as much as I should have.
I always blame it on youth, we were young.
Exactly. Yeah.
I always say I'd love to go back to some of these places. My wife and I actually went to Puerto Rico. We used to go down to Roosevelt Roads, which is the old Navy base down there. And my wife and I went back with our kids, and my wife and I went back just on our own. It's really cool because I love the food. Back then when I was younger, I didn't really appreciate it much. But man, mofongo, some of the Caribbean dishes they have down there are just incredible. Of course, the Bacardi. Went to the Bacardi factory.
Right.
Brought back a few bottles of rum. But yeah, it's nice to be able to go back and learning from your experiences when you're young and kind of reliving some of those good times there.
When you went back down there, did you go over into the area that was Roosevelt Roads?
We drove by there, and it's gone. The base has been shut down. We actually went to the island of Culebra, which is, you take a ferry ride out there. And Culebra and Vieques were 2 of the islands that the ship used to go off, and we'd kind of do some live firing exercises on those islands. So some of those islands they still have like live ordnance that nobody's ever uncovered. So they always tell you to be careful if you come across a shell or something like that. So it's pretty crazy, but yeah, Puerto Rico itself, San Juan, it's a beautiful city. We got to explore that a little bit. Again, when I was in the Navy, it was very, very quick, and you didn't have much time to really take it in.
Yeah, I remember San Juan. We did a catamaran cruise when we were there.
Yeah,
when I was in the Navy. So I really didn't get to enjoy San Juan. I just was on the cruise, the catamaran cruise. Yeah. But I went down there as a civilian now, and man, it is a beautiful city. Even after the hurricane going through there, they've done an amazing job.
Oh yeah. So you've been pretty recently then.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you? Some of your travels, man. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I know I've got to thank you for taking the hat to Sydney. That's probably one of our. I think you got the record for getting a Primo's hat the furthest away from Houston.
Yeah, it took me 21 hours to get there. So yeah.
Yeah, those are great pictures. We've had some people. A friend of mine, she works in India. She took one and she went to. I can't remember this off the top of my head. She went diving and she actually took one of the hats down with her on a scuba dive. And
That's awesome.
that was pretty cool. So I had another little idea we had, just trying to get the name out.
You should create a folder that's all of these, just those shares of wherever your hat has been.
Yeah, exactly.
Get you a nice collage.
Oh yeah. Like I said, the social media, man, that's been a lot of fun. And then we try to. There's a lot of businesses here in Houston, a lot of restaurants where and one of our friends, a good friend of mine, his cousin owns a place here in Houston that's just blown up. It's called the Turkey Leg Hut. Incredible smoked turkey legs. I mean, and it's they got a line outside that place 2 hours long, especially on the weekends. And his cousin was kind of telling him, you gotta post multiple times a day, and post everything. On Mondays they close and they clean the building, top to bottom. And these days with the COVID-19 crisis, cleanliness is very important. So gives you a good sense of comfort that you're going to go to a nice, clean restaurant. So that's an important tool. It's really changed the game as far as the restaurant business goes, for sure.
Now, where exactly are you? Are you from the Houston area originally, or?
Yeah, I was born here, born, raised here, went to high school here. Matter of fact, the ship, the San Jacinto, was commissioned here,
right,
back in I think '88. And as they had this program from when you enlist called the DEP program, the Delayed Entry Program. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. And as a DEPer, I was actually signed. I had all my paperwork signed to join the Navy. I went to Mardi Gras one year down in Galveston, about 45 minutes from where I live and where I grew up. And I was, I think it was my junior year of high school. It was about the summer before my senior year. No, I take that back. It was in February, so it was a school year. But we're going down, and there was a ship. Or the recruiters took us down to see a ship, and it was a San Jacinto. So I got to see the ship. Little did I know I'd be on in a couple years. But yeah, grew up here. Pasadena, where the restaurant's at, it's about 10 minutes from my house. I live right near Hobby Airport, which is southeast side of town. And the restaurant's about 10 minutes away. Pasadena is a really, this might show my age here, but you might be familiar with the movie Urban Cowboy with John Travolta back in,
sure,
I guess it was early 80s. That was filmed here in Pasadena. We have some menu items that kind of pay tribute to that movie. We have the Bud and Sissy taco, and we've got an Urban Cowboy album hanging in here. So Pasadena is really, everybody knows Pasadena for the refineries, the chemical plants. That's kind of the heart of our economy here in this part of Texas, the petrochemical industry. So we're right in the middle of it.
Real blue collar, right?
Oh yeah, it is. And a lot of, there's some schools nearby right down the street from us. So we get a lot of teachers coming in. Again, with the COVID and schools shutting down, we were passing out menus to the restaurants, and some of the teachers would come in, but then when they basically shut down the school, so that kind of hurt us there. But sometimes we got students coming in. We did a pretty cool deal here recently where class of 2020 didn't get to really enjoy their their proms, their high school graduation ceremonies. A lot of that got wiped out because of the COVID-19 pandemic. So a lot of locals were kind of putting together these programs where you could sponsor a senior. My wife she did this for our high school, which was Millview High School, which not far from here either. You could sponsor a senior. You basically put together a gift basket for them, find out what they like, just if they're going to college, if they're joining the military or whatever. I just put together some form, recognize their accomplishment of finishing high school. So I took that idea and said, hey, let's do that here at the restaurant. So we reached out to some of the Pasadena area schools, and we sponsored a senior. It just so happened that she was going into the Navy, so that really was pretty cool. Her and her family came by the restaurant. They ate. We provided them dinner and got them a nice little basket for their senior there. So that was pretty cool. So
since you're from that area, is there? I know you've already mentioned one of your friends owning a restaurant, but when you were growing up. Mm-hmm. Is there a staple? Is there some place that you grew up that's still there that when we come down to Houston area, we've got to go there?
Oh man, there's and they really are. The best ones are your mom and pop kind of hole in the wall places. We call them taquerias. I'm not sure if you've ever heard that term.
Oh yeah,
We have a taqueria.
it's all over the world.
Oh yeah, man. It's there's one called Taqueria del Sol that's been here since as long as I can remember. And not that I ever condone this, but I think we'd skip school every now and then in high school, and we'd go to Del Sol and then go to the beach. And my wife and I still go there. We probably eat there. Well, since the pandemic, things changed a little bit, but we were probably going there once a week. And for my day job, I work in environmental testing. I work for an environmental testing lab. That's what, that kind of my day job there, my career, I guess, before the restaurant. I'm meeting with clients. I'm in sales, so I'm buying tacos from that place all the time. So it's a really good restaurant. Just good food. They have a tortas. It's like a sandwich. Mm-hmm. I like it with beef fajitas. It's funny because my wife teases me. I always get the torta with French fries. That's like my go-to meal, man. I love French fries. But if you're looking for barbecue, there's some places here there's an old barbecue place on a street called Harrisburg on the east side of Houston called Lennox, and they're not really their dining area. I don't think is open anymore, but they cater. And every now and then a family member will have an event, a wedding or a retirement party or something like that. And I know for my family, we always go to Lennox Barbecue, really good barbecue. So yeah, I'd mention those two off the top of my head. There's that taqueria del Sol is good. It's one of my favorites.
If you were to take that same thought process and look at all of the places you've been all over the world, where's the one place we have to go back to? We have to find.
Oh man, I tell you, just one. Wow. And I don't remember the name of the place. There's actually two places really come to mind. When we were in Brazil and Argentina on that South American deployment, it was called Unitas. The beef. I mean, I love beef, man. I love the steaks, good steak, some beef ribs, just whatever, good steak. The South American, there's a lot of South American churrascarias. I think Fogo de Chao is a big popular one. We went to one down there. It was in Argentina. And it was back then American dollars, maybe $15 to get in there. And it was, you took your pick of the meat off the grill. They had a smoker there. They had sausage, just a really nice, impressive selection of sides, salads. I'll never forget that place. As long as I live, I'd love to go back there one day and find it. I have no idea what it was called, though. I do know we went there, I think in the 4 or 5 days we were there, I think we went there at least 3 times. That was really good. Yeah, that one just pops in my mind. I mentioned that I got to say some of the South American seafood, Valparaiso, Chile, incredible seafood. I mean, here in Houston, a lot of places use a ceviche item here, especially to me in the summertime when it's warm outside and nice. It's like a fish, kind of a shrimp cocktail, but with fish. To me, on a warm day, that's with the beer, it's sitting outside, it's kind of refreshing. They use tilapia here a lot of places, which I'm not a huge fan of. But I remember they used Chilean sea bass and just a really good whitefish. And
it's just expensive here. That's why.
Yeah.
It's really expensive, but man, it is good.
It's a good fish, yeah. And my wife and I went to Peru.
Carla makes an amazing sea bass.
Oh, really?
I really do. I make a great sea bass.
Oh, and I think you guys get some good seafood there in Orlando for sure. Yeah.
Sometimes
I'd love to try that.
We smoked the salmon the other day. That was really good too.
Oh man, yeah, I like fish. I love the whitefish though. I love the my favorite one's the sea bass. Like I said, my wife and I went to Peru a few years back, and we had some time in Lima. And I went to it was in a part of town called Miraflores, and just the ceviche, the same thing, just really good fish, and they use the sea bass as well. So I think it's, I guess the fish is more prevalent down there, I guess, maybe. I don't know, but really good stuff.
As far as cooking is concerned, I mean, it sounds like, I know for a fact that you've got a couple of other partners, but it sounds like you helped to design the menu, right?
Yeah, we all had some insight. So the way it came about, my partners originally had a third partner. It wasn't me; it was another guy, and they had asked me to provide the barbecue, like as just kind of almost like a vendor. And it's funny because the two guys I'm partners with, we've been friends for over 20 years, and I got to admit, I was a little hurt by that, you know. I was like, hey, what about me, you know? And so the other guy bailed out because of the restaurant. The idea with the restaurant wasn't really what he had in mind. So he backed out of it, and I was like, you know, hey, I'm right here, guys, you know. And they took me in, and so it's pretty funny because we all got our own little specialties. We all kind of had input on the menu. We did a lot of research, going to a lot of taco shops here in Houston and the surrounding area. Going up to Austin to try out places up there just to get our notes together. We all can cook. We all kind of share with the cooking, but I predominantly take care of the meat. My partner Jose Guerrero is we call him Pepe. He in the morning he's really fast. The guy just has a lot of energy, and in the mornings when we're here at 5 o'clock in the morning, for some reason he's always the one that's the most awake. So he usually kind of handles breakfast during the week. And then Marcos, my other partner, same thing with him. You know, they kind of handle breakfast, and I'm usually kind of getting the steam table ready, getting the dining area ready. Then on the weekends, though, when it's time to smoke the meat, I'm usually handling that. And it's funny because I think we're all a little like, kind of get out of my way. Let me handle it, you know. So, but no, we work really well together. We get it done. We've got some really good help here too. We got a young lady that works with us. She actually lives right down the street. It's real convenient for her, and she's just a jack of all trades. She does everything we need of her, and she can cook. She can handle the dining area when we're crowded. She can handle the crowd. She's very patient. I think that's one thing in the restaurant business I'm trying to still learn is patience, because they can get kind of crazy sometimes. But yeah, like I said, I kind of take care of the meat for the most part. That's kind of my specialty there.
The reason I ask that, I'm curious. When you mentioned earlier that growing up, you didn't really appreciate the food as much as you do now, looking back at it. I think we all have had that. But is there something that you struggled with when you first started cooking?
Oh man, I've always liked to cook. I know my brother and I, a lot of times when my mom was busy or she was out with my dad somewhere, I'd cook us breakfast sometimes. I'd cook us, if the Oilers were playing on a Sunday, I'd go downstairs and make us a big breakfast and late breakfast when we watch football all day, growing up. When I got into barbecuing, I always, I knew brisket was tough. I knew brisket was hard to make. And I learned the hard way. It really is. I destroyed a few of them trying to learn. I remember having some guests over one day at the house. I had a little, not a very good, it was really more of a barbecue pit that I set it up to with indirect heat to smoke a brisket. Had some guests come over, and I cut into it, and it was just like, it was something like out of Indiana Jones when they cut into a mummified corpse. I mean, that's how dry it was. I mean, it was just like, just like, this is just horrible. And it was kind of embarrassing. We just slopped some barbecue sauce on it and made the best of it we could. But like I said, that's where the YouTube videos came into play. And I got a buddy of mine that's on a cooking team. He taught me some gave me some pointers. A lot of trial by error. It was really. I think I want to say at least 3 or 4 before I got one that was somewhat presentable. But I tell you, you mentioned the word culinary. That's another thing that I was kind of studying there is. When I hear that word, what do I think of? And I think of craft. Craft beer nowadays, it's a craft. You're not just throwing a steak on the grill, which that's a craft in itself. But a brisket is every one of those is a challenge. Trimming them, prepping them. I'm not a big fan of the prep part of it, but I tell you, once I got the smoker going, once I got that fire rolling, I enjoy it. It's a challenge, And then when you got people that come in and say, "Man, we had one guy on our Facebook page say." A review. And again, not one of our friends, not a family member, I promise, objective person that came in as a customer and said, we're the best brisket in Pasadena. It's like, wow, man, that's pretty, that really, I think I teared up a little bit when I read that, that makes it all worth it, man.
I don't blame you. That's high honors.
Hey, Bryce, I need the car keys because I'm going to Pasadena, Texas.
Hey, come on down.
I'll be back in 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
There you go. We'll take care of you.
Is there in your personal life or even in your professional life, is there an area of culinary that you're interested in? Food, cultures, anything like that? All right, foodie fans, thanks for tuning in. Check us out next Tuesday for part 2 of this fantastic Foodies interview.
Bryce, you jerk. We want to know the answer.
Well, great. Hit subscribe.
Fine, but you're sleeping on the couch.